Okay, friend. It has been a wild few days. I just feel like so much has happened in such a short time. It is 5 o'clock. I was supposed to be at work at 3 o'clock it's Friday, and after one of the things that happened, I called and said, there's no way I can get there by 3. I can probably be there by 6, and I'm going to be able to do that. I'm very tired, very, 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 very tired, and very sore. I have pains in places there shouldn't be places. I've been drugged by boats. I got sand burn on my booty and my knees. So what happened was, so today's Friday. On Monday, Mila's adoption went off without a hitch. Rodney was off from work. We went and had lunch. It was wonderful and happy and such a relief to be done with that section of our lives and to start, I'm going to say start a new book. Not even just a new chapter, just a new book that is our story as Mila's adoptive parents. So then Tuesday was spent packing for a trip to a place called I'm tired. A place called Huzzah. Okay. So we are on our way. Where are we going?
Huzzah.
Yeah. In Steeleville, Missouri. We're going to go camping and floating.
Yes.
Today is, what is it, Wednesday? It's Wednesday morning, about 8 a.m. We're on our way. Bye. In Steeleville, Missouri, it's as far as I can tell, it's a very, very, very large stream. It doesn't qualify for a river. I don't know what the difference is, but it has currents, and the water's clear, and there's lots of rocks on the bottom, and you can see all the way down.
I'm in no more water. And guess what? It's the baddest man in the
Whose
world.
is that one right there? By your knee.
It's the baddest man in the world. Guess who it is? My feet are numb. Oh.
I can't even really see the camera. It's just really, really, really pretty. I went there last year with one of my sisters, and we went back again. So everything seemed to be fine until Wednesday. Well, let's see here, probably afternoon. So my sister was going to have one of her daughters and a family friend come, and then she had one of her granddaughters with her that she homeschools. They're together a lot. So it was supposed to be them, and then me and my two had a campsite. They had a campsite. We were tent camping. I was going to sleep in the car, though, because I just felt like stow and go. I could just make it work. And I did make it work, and I don't regret that decision at all. It was a little bit rough the first night because I hadn't completely cleared it out, my car out, and left a few things, and then it felt kind of cramped and uncomfortable, but I figured it out. So that was on Wednesday. We got there, we went immediately to the beach area and played for probably a couple hours. Oh, right. What are you doing?
I'm making room for my pineapple. Right down here. Why are you looking at me? No, you're fine. I saw it. Black. It's one to Nana. I'm gonna go in the deep.
Is it cold?
Yes.
Yeah. You know how it's cold is because the sun's going down. And then we went back to the campsite and had hot dogs and, you know, the camp stuff. Well, then Rosie, at some point, she found out that one of the family friend who was going to bring her daughter with her because they had both worked, they were going to carpool. The family friend had gotten sick and was throwing up and couldn't make it. And so, two of them weren't going to be there. So it was just Rosie and her granddaughter on one campsite, and then myself and my kids on the other campsite. When we got there, there was this couple right beside us. So we were in spaces 1, 2, and 3. They were in space 1, and they had these 2 wiener dogs, and we pull up, and they come barking at us and yipping and yapping and all up in our business. And I thought, oh, great. 3 little kids, actually a 10-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 3-year-old. 3 kids, 2 dogs, and we're really close together, and the whole other place is empty. So we were able to change the spots, fine and dandy. And so we moved to a shaded spot, and then, you know, the next morning it was all sunny. There wasn't any shade, but in the afternoon there was, which is what we wanted. So anyway, her people can't come. We could have, the issue with that is we could have consolidated into one spot and saved money, or upgraded to a cabin for about the same price. And so that was a little bit of a, that could have been different. But, you know, I believe everything happens for a reason. So that put Rosie a little bit out of sorts. Rosie's my sister. Put her a little bit out of sorts, but, you know, you roll with the punches. Things happen. Then on, let's see here, Thursday, we decided to do a float trip, just the 2 of us with these 3 kids. And so we book it, and we get on the water. It's about 11 o'clock, and Rosie's the only one of us with any experience. Me and Christopher and Mila have, I've been on a float trip a few years ago. I didn't take part in any of the organization or the food or, you know, any of that stuff. And didn't take part in how to navigate a boat, that kind of stuff. And so I'm like, are you sure you want to do this? She's like, yeah, it'll be great. It would have been better if we had more people, but it'll be great. So we get out on the water. It's like 11 o'clock. And Mila is afraid because almost instantly I'm trying to push the boat out and get in, and I fall on the loose rock because it's not a solid surface, and I get kind of underneath the boat, and I'm dragging on there's a tree limb or something at the bottom. It scrapes my leg, and I'm struggling to stand up and get back on the boat, and so that scared her. So probably for at least 40 minutes she cried, I want to go home, I want to go home, I want to go home. And nothing I could say would convince her that I was okay, and that we were okay, and that this was a good idea. And so that was fun. So we were on the water from 11 to 3, and so we carry on our merry way. Rosie and I are paddling, Rosie mostly steering, and it's hot. It's 90 degrees, and it's hot, and there's no shade at the beginning of it. And her granddaughter started fussing, I'm hungry, and then she's like, we're going in circles. I know we're going in circles. Well, the boat did get turned around a couple of times. So it was just a little bit trying, and there were things like, I'm never doing this again, and I don't ever want to come and do this again, and, you know, that kind of stuff. About an hour in, I think we kind of got everybody's chilling out. We get grounded a few times. I fall a few more times. It's like trying to get a beached whale into a boat, but I managed. And then Rosie's like, I think you should be in the back position and I'll be in the front position, because what we were doing, we were both struggling. I'm like, that's fine, I can paddle. I know I can do that. So I get in there and I brace myself the way she chose me, and then she says, if you do this way, the boat will go that way. If you do that way, the boat will go that way. And you know what? I learned a couple things about myself over this weekend. I learned that I can paddle a boat pretty proficiently. I was very surprised about this, but I can, and I did. I was very surprised. She was very surprised. She's like, "You're doing great. Are you sore? Can you handle this?" I'm like, "I'm fine," and I was truly fine. I had enough strength. It's pretty easy, apparently, to make a boat go where you want it if you know how to do it. So, I mean, there were a few times when I'm like, it's not going the way I want it to go, and we got into some trees and things, but for the most part, it was all really, really good until probably, let's see here, probably getting on towards 1 o'clock. And the 10-year-old's had enough. It isn't having fun. She's hot. And she's convinced there's not enough food. And what we did bring wasn't what she wanted. And then Rosie was worried about we hadn't brought enough water. So, I mean, everybody was just kind of, Mila had really just barely calmed down. There were still a few moments. She held on to me the whole time. She had a hold of my foot the entire time. She would not get away from me, which was fine. It was absolutely fine. So, I mean, we pulled over, and nobody's really having a very good time. But then we kind of hit our groove. We got off, and we swam, and we ate, and then everybody seemed to be fine for a while. So we'd go on again, and we feel like we're going forever and ever and ever, and it's hot, and we get caught a few times, and we swam a couple of times just to get cooled off, and then we get stuck. So what happened was the 10-year-old wanted to try oaring, or whatever it is, the term, the boat. So she said, fine, go ahead. You think you can do it? Go ahead. And so she gave her the paddle, and almost instantly it gets pulled out of her hands, because I guess the water was stronger than we realized, and the paddle's gone. So we're stuck with one oar. And no, wait, I forgot. Kind of after Mila settled down, then the 10-year-old falls out of the boat. Just, I think she was leaning too far, and we kind of tipped. I don't know. She goes backwards over the edge of the boat, and I catch her, her life jacket, and I'm pulling on her, and I'm trying to keep the oar in my hand. And I'm like, I've got you. Well, then Mila and Christopher are starting to panic, because she's screaming, and her grandmother is screaming, and so that was kind of crazy. But we get her back in the boat, then we go on our merry way. Everybody's settling down again, and then she gives her the oar, because that was one of her complaints. She was bored. She wanted to paddle, and if we had had 3 oars, that would have been best. So Rosie gives her the oar, says, go ahead, and we immediately lose the oar, and we were all focused on that and didn't see the tree that we ended up getting stuck on. And when I say stuck, I mean stuck. It had stuck up far enough that it caught the bottom of the boat, and we could not get off of it. I learned something else about myself this weekend. I learned that I'm really good in panic situations. And I say this because I remained completely calm and at peace, because we had gotten stuck so many times. By this time, I knew we would be able to work ourselves out of it, or someone would come along and help us, because there's lots of people floating. There wasn't anybody around for this incident, but we were good and stuck. And Rosie is like, oh my God, we are completely stuck. I don't know what to do. So then everybody starts to panic, because we cannot get ourselves loose. The current at this point is going so fast. The water's too deep to get out of the boat and guide ourselves. And nothing we're doing is working. We're pushing against the shore. She tries, or not the shore, but the tree and the bottom of the, what we can get a hold of. The water is just harsh at this point. And that tree had a hold of that thing, and there was screaming, if you hadn't lost and then I'm like, no way, because I knew if she finished that sentence that would start a whole new episode of hysterics, and we were already into the point where we need to call 911, we need to call for help, we're never going to get out of here, we're going to be stuck here forever. And then Christopher starts to have a panic attack. He's like, I'm scared. And meantime, Mila is completely calm. Not even a peep out of her. I think she was so tired and so hot and so just resigned to whatever was going to happen that she's like, well, I'm safe. I'm not in the water. Nobody else is in the water. I'm not sure what everybody's upset about. So she just kind of sat there, and I'm like, guys, we're fine. Somebody will come along and push us off of this log, or they'll help us. It'll be fine. Someone will eventually come along. And then I'm like, this place is beautiful. We're in the shade. We could be in the sun. We're in the shade, and it's just relaxing, and it's beautiful. They were having none of it. None of it. So eventually I start praying. I'm like, Father God, I just pray for your will to be done. I ask Father God that your will would be done, and that if you would either send help or release us from this. That, I was praying, and everybody kind of calmed down for a little bit, and we're like, okay. When we tried to renew our efforts, coordinated, and let's rock it this way and that way, and push this way and that way, well, it didn't work immediately. And so everybody started, when I say everybody, I mean the three that were leaning towards hysterics, started getting upset again. And I'm like, look, we're not going to be stuck out here. Everything's going to be fine. God is in control. We just have to trust him. And no sooner do I get done saying that than you can probably imagine what happens. The branch releases us, for lack of a better term. We did nothing different other than wiggling around like we were doing before. We did absolutely nothing different, but we were able to be released from the branch, and we were able to start floating on down. There were so many times I was able to witness to my sister on this trip. Her default mode, I guess, is panic, according to what her words. And so I was able to remain calm whenever she wasn't, and I hope that helped her. I really do. I think it did. She sent me a message afterwards. She said, thanks for staying calm and helping me. Anyway, so we start floating down, get back in the sun, and I'm like, see, we could have been sitting in that shade, enjoying the beautiful spot that we were in. And everybody's like, yeah. But so this was probably 2 o'clock, I guess, maybe. And we had seen the half-mile mark at some point. We knew we were making or the halfway point. We'd gone 3 miles. We knew we were making progress, and we knew we had to be getting close to the end. We just needed to keep going. And so we did get stuck a few more times, whack into a few more trees. Christopher cannot calm down. He just cannot calm down. I want to go home. I'm scared. until I'm like, we just need to stop and cool off. And so we knew we were close to the end. We find a nice place that we're able to just sit, and we probably played for half an hour, 45 minutes.
The first ability is this. I think I knew. Eva, this is the first ability.
In the water, everybody just relaxing and realizing we were all safe. This was actually really fine. We were all good. So we load back up in the boat, but it feels like the end is never happening. And at this point, we're going in circles. I know we're going in circles. We're never going to get out of here. We're going to be lost. You should call for help. We're going in circles. I looked at the map. I know that we're going in circles. We're never going to get out of here. I mean, it was incessant, and that just pushed my sister over the edge, and she's like, stop. You know, it was kind of a little bit not pleasant for any of us to experience. We finally make it to the end, and she goes, oh, we weren't going in circles after all. I'm like, yeah, no, we weren't. We were fine the whole time. Even when we got stuck, we were fine. Anyway, so by that time, we're all just wrung out. We ended up getting dinner at the cafe they have there at the resort lodge. I don't know what you call it. It's where people come in, you check in and stuff. It's the main office. It looks like a lodge. And so we decided to go ahead and do dinner. It was kind of expensive, but it was so worth it. We were all so high-strung, and my hands were so sore from paddling the oar. I'm not used to that at all. And from falling so many times, my knees were sore and my bottom was sore because I scraped. You know, it was just like, we did it. We're good. And so we get back to camp, and we give the kids showers, and we relax, and then everything seemed to be okay. I think that there might have been a few other incidences, but everything seemed to be okay until the middle of the night when it started to rain. Now, Mila and I are in the van, and Christopher had refused to get in the van. He insisted he should be able to sleep in the tent. Excuse me. I still have that tickle in my throat. And so, to my surprise, he fell asleep immediately by himself in a tent. Rosie and Eva are in another tent, and then Mila and Mila are in the van, and I have a fan on us. It's cool. So in the middle of the night, it starts raining, and then I hear thunder and see lightning, and then I see Rosie moving around outside, and I'm like, what are you doing? Is everything okay? And she's like, it's supposed to hail. There's supposed to be this big storm and hail, and I moved Eva into my car. I think you should bring Christopher into the van. And so now that's probably a good idea. So I go and I wake him up. He's in a heavy sleep. I wake him up and I bring him into the van and get everybody situated. And I want to say that was probably around 12:30, 1 o'clock. And so at 2:45, Rosie's back over at the van, and she opens the door, and she's like, my car overheated and died because we were trying to keep cool in it. Can I bring Eva over here? I'm like, yeah, both of you come on over here. She had completely broken down her camp and everything in between that time, though. She had put Eva in the car, broke down her tent, packed up all her stuff, and she was, ready to do whatever needed to be done if it got severe enough. But, like I said, the car died, and so I'm like, there's nothing that can be done about it now. Just let's get in the van, and at least we can try to get a little more sleep. So that was like 3 a.m. 7 o'clock. The sun's coming in the windows. We're all waking up. I wish wish I had gotten up earlier and started packing up. And if I had had a good night's sleep, maybe I would have. I don't know. So I got started later on my packing. Her car still has a dead battery. Because of the kind of car that it is, she can't access the trunk to get the jumper cables out. And there's nobody else up. Or if they're up, they're not paying any attention to us. I had in my van, I set the hood open just to signal, hey, we need help, to see if somebody would stop. Because on her car, without the power, the hood wouldn't stay up, and she didn't have a stick to hold the hood up. And so I'm like, call and see if you can get one of the staff to come and give us a jump. Well, they didn't open until 8. She had left a message. Nobody had gone back to her. So we're waiting, we're packing up and trying to see, maybe somebody will help us, maybe somebody will come. We're packing up. And I'm preparing the van so that I can take everybody back to Springfield if I need to. Because we didn't know what her situation with her car was. She thought it just needed to be jumped, and it did, but we weren't sure. So, at 8 o'clock, she calls, and she's on hold for 10 minutes with the office. And then I call, and the lady answers, and she's like, please hold. And so, anyway, it was probably 8:20 before we actually got to speak to somebody and say, hey, we need help. And they didn't come, and they didn't come, and they didn't come. It was 9 o'clock before somebody came, but they did immediately hook up the battery charger to it. It sparked right up. Car started. No more problems with the car. But she's like, I can't be stuck here. I can't be stuck here. I have to have my car. I can't just leave my car. She was in a panic. She really, really was. I said, I don't know why this happened. I really, truly don't. But I know that it happened for a reason. Maybe the delay was to prevent us from experiencing a terrible accident on the interstate. Because we had to go through St. Louis. It's like, you never really know why things happen. You just have to trust and believe. And one of the last things I said to her was, I said, Romans 8:28. She goes, what? I said, in the Bible, Romans 8:28 says God works everything for the greater good to those who love him and are called to his purpose. And she's like, well, I trust him. I do. I trust him. She goes, my default reaction is panic. I said, well, maybe the next time you start to panic, you should just say Romans 8:28, Romans 8:28, Romans 8:28, so that you can try to focus on the fact that God is in control and that you're okay. And she's like, yeah. Again, I was calm. I'm really good in a crisis. Sometimes when it happened to me, I'm not so good. But when it's somebody else's crisis, no, we were stuck in the boat, I was completely calm. All of the times that I fell and I'm like, I was completely calm. I knew everything was going to be okay, one way or the other. So, that was this morning. We got started much later to get home than we intended because of the car situation. So then I called the office and I'm like, I'm stuck in Steeleville, Missouri for a couple hours longer than I intended to be. I'm not going to be able to make it to work on time. So, anyway, I learned some stuff about myself this week. I learned that even though the adoption process has taken almost 4 years, and I thought I was numb and immune to all of the ups and downs, whenever it was final, and he was saying the things that the judge was saying, the things that he was saying, it made me, I got emotional. My eyes teared up, and I was surprised by that. And then I learned that I'm physically stronger than I thought that I was, but yet I'm also not as strong as I could be or should be or need to be in order to thrive and to provide for my little people. And I learned that I'm really good whenever things go south or upside down or backwards. I'm really good at staying calm and in control and grounding other people. I learned that this is the last thing that I learned. This morning after her car started and my car was packed and we were able to get on the road, I relaxed. I learned that I'm able to stay on duty and prepared for whatever's going to happen. But when I relax, that's when the aches and the pains started. That's when I realized how sore my booty was, how my muscles were sore. I'm okay. I'm kind of achy from using muscles that I don't normally use, but for the most part, I'm okay, which surprises me. But it was like once I knew everything was familiar and good and we should be having no more problems, I kind of relaxed, and then I was tired and I didn't really have much energy to do anything. But when they needed me, I was there for them, for all of them. It made me feel good. I surprised myself in some good ways. Learned some things about myself. Anyway, that has been my week. I'm going to go to work, and instead of working 18 hours, I'll be doing 15 hours, which is enough. I'm very, very tired. All that work yesterday, not getting a full night's sleep last night, traveling all day today. Mila was on the way home. She just started crying and she wouldn't stop. We were probably we were in the St. Louis area, and she just started crying. She couldn't articulate what was wrong. She couldn't stop. She just cried. Nothing I could say or do or promise or threaten or try to help her with had any effect. She just cried and cried and cried and cried. And I had promised the kids that when we got back to Litchfield, because when we went down, we stopped at Litchfield for breakfast because it's about an hour from home. And there was this play place in there, and they wanted to go play. And I said, well, I promise on the way back we'll stop before we go home, and you can play. So I was saying, we're almost there to Litchfield. I don't want to go to Litchfield. I want to go to McDonald's. And no matter how many times I said McDonald's is in Litchfield, that's where we're going. I don't want to go to McDonald's. I don't want to go to Litchfield. She was tired. She's, not just tired, but exhausted, and it had been very tiring and emotional and strange for her. This is her first real camping trip. I don't think she remembered any of the stuff we did last year. So that was fun. That was so much fun. I'm tired and sore, and she's just crying. Finally, she fell asleep. Thank God. And Christopher falls asleep, and we got done at Litchfield, and I let them play for half an hour. Surprisingly, she didn't cry then. Not surprisingly, she was perfectly fine. Anyway, my car still has all of our stuff in it. I don't have time to deal with it before I go to work. I'm already almost at work right now. I don't have time to deal with it. So it's just going to have to be dealt with. There's food in the cooler that needs to be thrown away. All of our stuff needs to be taken out. Some of it needs to be... Oh, I did put a load of laundry in. The clothes, our swim clothes, and some of the stuff that we had, we didn't get a chance to dry out. I put all that stuff in the wash machine. So I did do that. Anyway, that's my story. What had happened was that next weekend. We don't have anything going on next week. We finally get to do the free movies in my hometown. Not my hometown. It's not my hometown. It's where I live, though. We get to do the free movies on Wednesday or Thursday next week. We'll be able to swim in our local pool. We'll be at home. And then the weekend, Thursday night, Friday, Saturday, is a family reunion. And I'm actually taking the weekend off of work to participate in that. So that's the next event. But that's actually like 45 minutes from our house. And we're cabin camping. We kind of took over the local KOA, all of us, because we're a really large group. And that's going to be a good time, and it's not going to be very far away. I think with going to Ohio last week and then getting back in the car and going another... So Ohio was 4.5 hour trip, and then this was a 3.5 hour trip, not including stops, like restroom breaks and food and that kind of stuff. And I just think back-to-back trips like that, being in the car was just, you know, kids just don't know where you're at and how far you are from home, that kind of thing. It was just too much. I kind of feel it. I feel it. I'm looking forward to, at least for a while, just spending time at the pool, seeing the free movie on Wednesday, and just enjoying summer and having it be a quiet, peaceful time. That's what I'm looking forward to. That's what I'm hoping. I think that if we can manage it, we'll do another trip to Jellystone. We went to Jellystone at Pittsfield last summer, had a grand time. So we'll either go back to Pittsfield, or I kind of want to try the Mark Twain, because it's like another hour beyond Pittsfield, but still doable. And they have a larger water park feature. So I want to do that one for a trip. And then other than that, I'm not planning anything else at this point. I couldn't plan anything right now if I wanted to. Somebody asked me, when are we going to go camping again? And I'm like, never, ever, 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 ever. I don't want a tent camp or car camp if I can help it for a while. Learn some tips and tricks for car camping to make it easier, though. So we'll see. I have arrived at work, and I pray, friend, that you have adventures. I pray that you know, as well as I know, that the worst trips make the best memories, and that even though we had such a rough time, that everyone is going to look back on it and be able to talk about the things that happened and remember, and that makes for great memories. Friend, I pray that you build your memories and spend time with your family, that you enjoy the summer, and I pray that Father God would bless you, and bless me, bless us. I ask for forgiveness, Father God, of our sins. I praise you and thank you for being in control, and for having everything taken care of, that we can rely on you, that everything that we need, that you can provide and you will provide. And Father, I just ask for your will to be done in all things, in all ways, in all places, in all times. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Love you, friend. If you made it to the end, you're a true friend. I'll talk to you again as soon as I can. Bye.